Mr. Sorensen, Mrs. Geiger.
Okay, I see, if you look at your agenda, we don't have Alex here, Greg Tavermina.
Yes, he
Alex
is.
is right here.
Sorry, Alex.
No problem.
How are you?
Wonderful.
How's your tie?
Okay, so far.
Okay, good. Do you mind? You're first on the list.
Sure. For 911, started to see a little uptick in call volume for the nicer weather. I guess people are out doing things. Brush fires have picked up for the season, unfortunately. Just kind of a reminder that there is still a burn ban for another week. But we have seen probably more brush fires this season than last. So it has been busier at 911. On the radio project, construction has begun up in Tanana Lake. Foundation for the towers are in, for that tower is in, and they continue to move ahead swiftly to hopefully complete that tower by the end of the month. Then we'll move on to the next tower, so it's going well.
That is a big event.
It is, after 4 years of planning, it's nice to see some concrete.
Alex, what's the time frame for the completion of all the towers?
we're
No,
in-
just because people have been asking me, I'm just.
We're envisioning
roughly.
a pretty aggressive schedule. If all
Okay.
if all the stars line up, we're hoping to have all the towers completed by the end of this year.
Great, okay.
And then radio equipment will start to be hung spring of next year, about this time next year. We hope to be done with the, ready to cut over early 2016.
Great. Thank you. Greg Tavermina said that he's not available to come during the day because he has a day job, so, yes.
I have for Greg 2 announcements.
Yay, thank you.
Greg has he has a captain's meeting scheduled for May 20th at the Training Center, Emergency Services Training Center. He says those meetings continue to go well. And EMS and Greg have been busy planning for the Mystery Land event and making sure that all the volunteer squads will have enough manpower to cover their own districts, while Mystery Land may put a toll on the EMS system as well. So he's just making sure everything's covered.
In other words, that other parts of the county will still be covered. Not all resources are going into Mystery Land.
Correct, yep.
Okay. We'll have a little spot on Mystery Land later with Sam. Jean?
What time is the captain's meeting?
7 p.m. on May 20th.
Thank you.
How many captains are there, Alex, just as a reminder?
There's 16 ambulance corps, so there should be 16 captains. Typically, they have a majority turnout at those meetings.
All right, we're going to move on now to an update with Jim.
Okay, just to let you know, we are in the process of transitioning the fraud investigative team to my office. I've interviewed a number of candidates for the position. I'll be making decisions on who to hire probably in the next week or so. We had a lot of quality candidates. We didn't have a lot of candidates, but we had a lot of quality candidates in the ones that the resumes we did receive, with lots of experience in the areas that we're looking for. So I should have an update at the next public safety meeting in terms of the implementation of that going forward. We have worked out with the Department of Family Services an agreement with respect to payment, and we are working on the final touches on our memorandum of understanding with respect to what our operational guidelines will be.
Is that something that the legislature has to sign off on or not?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay, so it's just a memorandum of agreement between the DA's office and the commissioner?
Correct, and
Okay.
we'll set forth the operational guidelines for you in that document, so that way everybody knows what the role of each particular participant is. But Randy has been a partner in this, and we're working together to get that done along with his counsel in this case. The numbers with respect to burglary, as I reported at the last meeting, were preliminary. They've been finalized now by the state. 2013 saw a 15% decrease in reported burglaries in Sullivan County. So we're on the right track with respect to that, and that dovetails in with my prosecution number, which was down as well. So that's good news, and I hope we continue to see that recede to numbers that we had in the early 2000s, 2009, or I should say mid-2000s. 2009 when we had 433. So we were up over almost 568 In 2012, we're down to 482. So the number's going the right way. We hope to continue to drive that number down.
That's
with the
significant,
initiatives.
actually, that's a
It is,
lot.
it is. 15% is a good number. It's still per capita very high,
Right.
but we're working on it. We need to make sure that that's a priority, and it's a priority for my office. The Berkeley situation. We are going to be presenting tomorrow at the Senate forum with respect to opiate. John Bonisic is hosting a forum here. I believe it's going to be in the meeting room at 2 to 4, and we're trying to come up with some solutions to the situations that were confronted on that grant.
Can I just interject 1 second, that it's part of a statewide
Correct.
move, so people are, you can pass it around, people are going far and wide all over.
They're having hearings all over the state. I believe they're having one in Newburgh. They've had them upstate. They're just trying to get ideas in terms of how to combat this. And we had a productive meeting at Sullivan West about 2 weeks ago. The sheriff was there. Law enforcement partners were there to begin that discussion. So our schools are engaged as well. So that's a good thing. In addition, the DA's office is looking to go paperless. We are in the midst of that. MIS has been very, very helpful. Lauren's staff has been real good in helping us go that direction. I envisioned it quicker. We had some hiccups, but I envision us being paperless by June, or in the far worst case by the third quarter of this year, September. But I'm pushing for June, whereby we don't have any more paper. We're out of storage space, as you well know. I had a number of old files shredded, files that we could get rid of, but we have an obligation to keep all felonies, and we just don't have any more room. We have no more space. We have boxes in the hallways of our office.
I've been through the caverns of.
Right, and we did a redesign in terms of where all the boxes are, but they're still there, because I think we're going to get some workforce development help this year. That'll help us with our scanning and with our digitizing our records, because if they're on a CD or DVD in a drawer, you can store a heck of a lot more records than you can in some paper, and that's our goal.
Are you also getting grant help from that or not?
We are not.
Okay, so that's something we should put on
The
the.
grant did not go forward. We were unable to get the grant. We were trying to work with the grants department. That didn't work.
Okay.
But if we get some help from workforce development, I think we can get towards that goal. And my office is going to go live with scanning everything, and therefore not having any paper, hopefully by the end of June.
Right.
That's what I'm looking at.
So the way we set it up last year was that.
So what that means is that the new files, we won't have paper.
Right,
We
they
still
go
have
straight
paper
to digital.
in the old system.
And you're gonna catch up on that.
Correct.
So the way it worked last year was that a whole team of interns came and kind of did almost like
Correct.
an intensive.
Correct. I think
scanning.
one of the young ladies who worked with us last year wants to work with us again, so that's a good thing. And, we hope that she'll join us again. We'll have more help to get that project underway and get some of the old files scanned, so that way we can shred some of those files and free up some space.
That's an aggressive schedule to get all that
It
done
is,
by June.
but-
Take a before and an after photo.
Well, we will.
Okay, also there was, I had asked for specific information, and I, understand that you're in transition between the restructuring of the, fraud,
Yes.
FIT, fraud investigation team. But if you could just give us a ballpark, because I think there's some confusion out there with regards to, the restitution.
From the inception of the team, which was created by policy of the legislature, I guess sometime in the spring of 2013. So the team's been up for about a year. There have been 52 people that have been arrested on the fraud side of public systems. They're in various stages of prosecution. Some have pled guilty, some have been placed on probation. they have, they've been ordered to pay restitution. Some have been sent to state prison. So it depends, and some have had their charges pled in the local criminal court with restitution. The total amount of restitution from those 52 cases is about $182,000.
That's significant.
It is. There are more that are obviously coming, and that's why Jerry needs the help that he does, and I suspect that we'll see that number grow as the team is fully implemented. We also had the other initiative, which was the initiative to prosecute those who were willful and intentionally violating court orders. I think you all know the status of that. That was challenged by the defense. There's about 52 or 53 of those cases. The numbers there are significantly higher in terms of the amounts that are owed. And in those particular cases, we are appealing the decision of the court to dismiss those cases because we do believe that the court had jurisdiction to hear them, and we believe that an error was made. So we are fully appealing that. That should occur within the next 90 days or so in terms of our appeal being perfected. And we'll have a report once we get a decision from the higher court.
So those, the restitution does not include that second batch, the 182,000?
It does not.
Okay, so
It
the
does
number
not.
will increase once.
That is correct. And what has been an intended benefit of that particular initiative is the following. Folks who were in arrears, folks who had not been paying, and were afraid that they were going to be prosecuted for such, have, a number of them have shown up voluntarily with money in hand, with checks in hand, to decrease their obligations to their children. That is the intended effect of the initiative.
Meaning that they don't go to jail, they're not
No,
prosecuted, they're
they
allowed that?
They are now making good on the orders that were put upon them by courts of competent jurisdiction, ordering them to pay child support and to support their children. So those are the intended benefits. And of course, if they're not supporting their children and the county is, then in a lot of situations, the county recoups that money that's being paid back. So that's a good thing, and we need to pursue that, and that's one of the reasons why we will continue to pursue that initiative, because folks should make good on their obligations. They have an obligation to support their children, and if they can do it, and they willfully don't do it, well, then they should be prosecuted for that. That's my position, and that's the position we will take to the appellate court, and we hope that they will agree with us.
And there are
Because
two-
courts issue orders all the time
Right.
to do certain things, and if people don't do it, they intentionally disobey the court, then they can face the penalty of a criminal prosecution. It's something that goes back to the beginning of law.
So you.
Otherwise, the courts don't have the ability to do anything,
Kitty?
and no one would observe what they say or what they do.
Well, like, but.
Kitty raised her
okay.
hand, and then Kathy.
So, help me clarify this. The ones that were thrown out of court were appealing to get back in court, and
That is
a
correct.
side effect that has happened, that we expected to happen and has happened, is in fact, others have come forward and they're paying their tab now.
That is correct.
That's a wonderful.
That's a very good
Thank
thing.
you.
Kathy, then
Just
Cindy.
two quick, so the $182,000 that we've saved, that comes back to the county, or is that state money? How's that broken down?
It
Yeah.
depends. Some of it is state, some of it is
Okay.
federal, some of it is county.
So can you give us a breakdown next month at the next meeting? I'm just curious how that breaks down.
Well, I don't know how much will come back, because if the folks don't have the money to pay it, then there's no way for us to get it back.
But,
I mean, we order them to pay it. I mean,
Right.
if we order them by a court
Okay.
to do that, and they don't pay,
okay,
I mean,
so.
that's always a bugaboo,
Right.
is
Okay.
trying to get the money.
Okay, but so we don't have the $182,000 yet, or
No,
now?
that's the amount of money
Okay.
that we allege that these individuals took without authority
Okay,
from
so-
the public.
Okay, so when you get it back, can you give us a monthly update as to how much the county would get, see?
Absolutely,
Okay.
we can break that down.
And my second question is, 'cause I read the article about Josephine, and I was a little confused about that. So, the people, like Tim Habas says, that aren't snubbing their nose at the court, that can't afford to pay. So what then happens to them? Let's assume a guy is unemployed and he owes $1,000, example. So what then happens to him? Does that he goes to jail because he can't pay that?
No,
Or will he
it's
make,
gotta be a willful.
right,
You have to be in willful violation of the court order. If you don't have the ability to pay,
okay.
then you're not in willful violation of the
So of those 50 people that were in Josephine's court, do we have a number of how many could not pay? Is
No,
that-
you see, that's the whole point of a charge. The whole point of a charge is to make that allegation based upon evidence that we have. And then you have a trial that determines
Right, okay.
whether that's true or not. We didn't even get to that point, got short-circuited. No one looked, and no one is making any claim
Okay.
at this point on the merits. This was basically a jurisdictional issue, which had
Okay.
nothing to do with the merits of our case. Nothing.
Okay,
This
so-
was not dismissed the motion to dismiss was not granted on the merits because there was no merits decision. No one had an opportunity to litigate the
Okay.
merits.
So once it's appealed and comes back to your office, then we will then know how many,
Correct.
okay.
Correct, because then we'll have a merits issue. Then we have to prove that they were willfully in violation of the court order, that they intentionally violated it. In other words, they had some ability, and they didn't do anything about it. Many of these folks, and part of our theory is that these arrearages they're accumulating every month. Okay, if you don't have the ability to pay, well, what would a person do? A person who did not have the ability to pay would go to the judge and say, I'm unemployed. These people did not do that. None of them, the ones that we charged. If they had done that, the judge had said, okay, yes, I see that, I'm gonna stop it, and in fact, we're gonna go back to the point where you were unemployed, and we're gonna stop your child support, then we'd have a different situation. But that's not what we have. And there's a provision in the law for someone to go in to court and to say, listen, my circumstances have changed, I can't afford it, I don't have a job. That didn't happen in this case.
So how long do you think the appeal will take, a month, or is there time
Oh, no,
sensitive, or? do you-
our perfection of the appeal has to be done within the next, we have to do an affidavit of errors, which is our setting forth how we believe the court erred in its decision. The court then has an opportunity to respond to that. Sometimes courts don't. We've had situations where courts just ignored it. I hope that doesn't happen here, but we've had those situations. That then prolongs the process, and then it gets fully briefed to the appellate court, and the appellate court then makes a decision. And that could take
Is that a time?
6 months.
Oh, okay.
You know, there's no time frame for an appellate court to render a decision. There's
Okay.
no set, time frame within the law. Once we give it to the court, there's no telling how long it could take.
Cindy had a question, then Scott has.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to thank you for pursuing the support for the families, because otherwise those vulnerable families enter the system and they're dependent on benefits. So I think you're doing the right thing to support that.
Scott, you had your hand raised?
Yeah. Just a question on the $182,000. You had mentioned that there were some people in various stages of prosecution.
Correct.
And so is the 182 for the people that we are already in the various stages?
That's
or
all 52.
All 52, okay.
Correct. And the other thing I should say is that other counties have pursued this the way we have
Yes,
as
they
well.
have.
This is not,
Orange.
this is not something that we took upon ourselves to say, listen, let's do something extraordinary. We're kind of patterning ourselves off of what other counties have done, and have done it in a successful way. And that's what you ought to do. You ought to look at what works around the state, and if it works, and it can work here, we gotta try it. That's what we're doing.
Good, very good.
Jeff?
Well, a week and a half ago, we submitted our 2015 state aid and probation plan to DCJS. We're currently working on a crime victims advocate grant that is due this Monday for submission.
The first one is due the 31st, the plan is due the 31st
The
of May?
state aid probation plan was due on April 30th.
Oh, and you got that.
And we got that done. That was done like the 25th. Actually, we got it done a little early this year.
Thank you.
There's a crime victims advocate grant that's coming up, and that the submission is coming up this Monday. We expect to be on time with that. And lastly, on the 31st, we do have the alternative incarceration and pretrial release grant coming up, and that, of course, affects the jail. It allows the jail, that program allows the jail to have 13A classification, reduces the overcrowding in the jail. We expect to submit that on a timely basis as well.
How much is that one for?
Off the top of my head, I'm not exactly sure. We get extra funding for the officers, it's above and beyond the 12% that the state gives for each officer. Primarily, it depends on how many inmates are released. You get a percentage on that from the state, so it varies. I can give you the exact, I don't have the number right at the top of my head.
That's okay, but we do it at the high water mark, is that what we ask
That's
for?
correct, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and we always meet the state's criteria.
So this is how many years now that this grant has been received? It's an
About 20
ongoing
years.
thing? Okay, good.
And we've added an additional officer to facilitate getting inmates that are appropriate for a pretrial release under community-based supervision. There is a little fly in the ointment because probation has been understaffed, and we just lost another officer last week due to medical issues.
That was unexpected.
That was unexpected, and right now we're kind of running behind with submission of pre-sentence investigations to various courts. We're going to have to start asking for adjournments again. There was an unforeseen I know, Jim, that's not something you want to hear, but it's unforeseen circumstance, and we just don't have the staff to cover and facilitate the progress of those pre-sentence reports.
Okay, so just so that I'm clear, we have a certain number of probation officers that are cross-trained in PSI, ATI, and various different
That's correct.
disciplines. There was additional funding given to the probation department for a part-time ATI slash PSI, or what was that for?
Full-time pretrial release probation officer that would also write pre-sentence reports. The officer that just went out was solely dedicated to writing pre-sentence reports, so now all of a sudden you have 30 to 40 reports that you have to basically assign to staff that already has pre-sentence reports, and the volume of reports that are coming in is starting to increase. It's that time of year where there's an uptick in
So I guess the question I'm asking is that the appropriations that we gave for that did help or did not help?
Yeah, it did help, but we're back to square one because we lost an officer who was specifically dedicated to writing
And that's gonna
pre-sentence
be a
reports.
permanent thing, that person's not coming back?
He's definitely not coming back.
Okay.
So how many
So-
positions are, I'm sorry?
I just put in a filled vacancy request.
I
last
recognize
week.
Cindy.
For that position?
For that
I'm
particular
sorry.
position, that's correct.
For one.
For one, that's correct, yes.
Okay, so could you just give a very brief explanation of the DAS system that we talked about in the meeting with Josh? Because that was another extra 100,000 that I wasn't aware of that had been approved in the 2014 budget. So if you could just let all the legislators who are in this room right now have a very, Reader's Digest condensed Cliff Notes version of what that's about.
Okay, essentially, the Department of Family Services oversees the PINS diversion program. It's Center for Person Needing Supervision. It's juveniles anywhere from age 7 up to age 15 that are, they're alleged to have ungovernable behavior. It does not have an element of criminality to it. It's basically marijuana usage, truancy from school, not abiding by household rules and regulations, which is kind of out of control. And the process of the diversion program is to, diversion being the point word there, to avoid having the matter go to family court involving the juvenile within the legal system, possibly being removed from the household. This cost to the county, that's of course placement cost. Years ago, probation was a lead agency, and with the PINS program, each juvenile was assigned a probation officer. The schools were happy with that situation, and somehow through the years, as Department of Family Services became the lead agency, probation kind of got left out of the loop. They were not assigning probation officers. They didn't have something called DAS, which stands for Designated Assessment Committee. It's kind of a group think tank with various county agencies, such as alcohol, drug abuse services, mental health, probation, that would focus in on what particular juveniles' needs are and then you'd have a plan to follow through. That kind of somehow went by the wayside. So you had a lot of kids that ordinarily would have been handled through the diversion program were now winding up before the court and being placed out. So they're looking to alleviate that and reinstitute that particular DAS program, of which probation will now be a part. And there was a memorandum of understanding years ago that probation would be sort of the agency of last resort if a juvenile wasn't working out with whatever services, family services put in place, that probation would be like the big stick to get them in line, and hasn't been utilized in a couple of years. And the current understanding now is that with those difficult cases, that they'll be assigned a probation officer.
So does this alleviate the kind of overall situation you have, or is it adding to?
Well, it's
I need to
gonna
be
add more work to
clear.
probation. What it will alleviate at some point is individuals that were marginal and were being sent to family court, or the petitioner was asking that the particular juvenile would go to court. That should alleviate that situation, because probably 9 times out of 10 when we were handling those type of cases, there was a successful resolution and did not require court intervention.
So would this MOA be coming through the legislature or not? Whenever it comes? Okay, so it's a memorandum of agreement between
DFS and
probation and DFS,
That's
okay.
correct. And we're scheduled to have a meeting, I believe, next week with Randy and Ms. Cahill
Okay.
concerning that.
I know that also came up at the meeting that we had with the school, that they said they didn't know why that would change, and they thought that it was productive.
That's being reinstituted.
Yeah, it is being reinstituted.
So they expressed concerns at the meeting I was at, that probation wasn't involved in that. I think Penny was at that meeting.
That's correct. We've heard that complaint for quite some time, why it happened, and we don't really, probation didn't have control over that because we're not the lead agency. And I don't know if it was the transition of staff through DFS or what happened here, but somehow it just fell by the wayside, and really is integral to having juvenile be successful.
Cindy? Thanks.
Kitty, Cora, and myself were involved with meetings with DFS and the family court judges as well.
I wasn't there.
And Liberty School with Cora. And the direction that is coming together with increased communication, moving forward with probation now, like Jeff says, was discontinued and now will be followed through. We also spoke with the judges about a possible caseworker as a liaison in the school to increase communication. Specific caseworkers at CPS, instead of dealing with 15 to 18 caseworkers, it would be specific 3 or 4 caseworkers, and appointing a new director of services, which will report to the commissioner. So all these pieces, there was conversation about inadequate resources in Sullivan County, so we were gonna work on resource piece, putting the resources together, identifying where gaps are. Also increasing foster homes was part of the conversation, which we're working on that piece, in-county foster homes, hopefully recruiting a therapeutic foster home for kids. And also to review attendance policies from the school district and institute a designated assessment service team that will review and amend referral forms. So there's a lot happening, a lot of increased communication. We're heading in the right direction because of the PINS process somehow falling through the cracks. So we're connecting the family court judges with the schools, with probation.
Okay. We'll move on now
Or,
to,
I'd just like to add that.
Sure,
we
Jeff,
had,
go ahead.
7 officers go through firearms qualifications last week.
I couldn't hear you.
We had 7 officers go through firearms qualifications last week.
Okay.
I'd like to extend a thanks to the sheriff's office for that, for providing that service, because ordinarily it would cost us over $2,000 to send those 7 officers up to Albany for that state mandated qualification.
When I saw all the handcuffs lined up on your desk, Jeff.
You're hoping they weren't for you, right?
Thank you to the Sheriff's Department, Mike. It's we're laying it over to you now for an update, please.
Hal, anything in the jail?
Nope, jail's been kinda quiet, count's creeping down, only got 3 boarded out, 3 females, so hopefully in the next week or 2, they'll come back and, won't be getting that bill temporarily at least. Other than that, quiet.
3 total boarded out?
Correct.
Okay, so I'm going to move to resolutions and then have you, Sam, at the end of the agenda, if you don't mind. You ready for that? So this is a resolution that I'm passing around.
That's the only update from the sheriff's department. There's nothing about.
Can you ask that question to the sheriff,
Is
please?
that the only update from the sheriff's
No, I
department?
thought you said to jump in after the resolutions.
No.
No, I misunderstood you.
Okay.
Blake,
If
what
you
did you?
have, I apologize if I jumped the gun there. Hal had his report, Blake?
Our report, my report is,
Thank you.
Mysteryland, coming at us, Memorial Day weekend. The state police, have asked us to give them either 16 or 18 deputies a day for the 4 days that supplement their traffic control out there. I think, there's a resolution on something to do with that, but, just so you know, we have, a big undertaking with that. It's 4 days, and it's on top of the Memorial Day weekend that we would have, need for a lot of police resources. In any event, they're gonna have something in the neighborhood of 25,000 people come to this event. There's gonna be camping there, it's around the clock, 24 hours a day. Somewhere in the vicinity of 9,000 people, they have provisions for camping, about 1,500 over one of Landry's campsites, but the majority of them are gonna be right near the Bethel Woods site there on Test Avenue, where we're gonna put 7,500 campers. They anticipate most of them to be here or there on Friday, the 23rd by 6 p.m. So it's going to be a little bit of a traffic influx all day Friday. The entertainment they have over there, believe it or not, they're not even going to use the normal, they're going to build their own stages over there, something like 6 of them right at the Bethel Woods site, and then at the campgrounds they have some other things there. It's a big draw on our manpower to come up with 16, depending on the time, night or the day events. So we're using some people out of the jail and civil patrol, and that's in addition to the state police. And they're
My
bringing,
understanding is through the Incident Command System, the ICS, that the state is the lead agency on this.
yes,
So the contract that the ICS, that the state police have with Mysteryland, which is what Sam's gonna be talking about, is the contract is gonna be patterned after that, and it's similar to the contract with the state police. In other words, the sheriff's department is going to engage directly with the Mysteryland company, not through Bethel Woods, correct?
that's the idea, and I
Okay.
think the county attorney might be able to speak to you better about the mechanism to do that. I was dealing more with what's coming here, on top of what's already gonna be here, and it's gonna be a busy weekend.
So, as long as we're talking about Mysteryland, the, event is being seen from Friday to Monday. Friday's the intake. People are not allowed to go to their cars. Once they're on the grounds, they get a one entry only. That's to prevent people from, coming in and out. And then on Monday is when they leave. There are gonna be shuttles, pardon?
That'll be the exit.
Okay.
Probably by noontime Monday, we figure most people will be departed or in the process of it, so there'll be a lot of traffic.
I spoke to, Rick Martinez. He's the head of security at Bethel Woods. So the quote-unquote pre-party Friday is 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. Then Saturday and Sunday, it's 11 a.m. to 1:45 a.m. And then there's fireworks at 1:45 a.m. I believe it's Saturday night. So,
The neighbors are gonna love that.
well, if, they want to rent their house out for the weekend, they can.
They have to go to work at 4 o'clock in the morning, like some people.
My understanding also is that the security people, they are hiring the mounted horses. It's not coming through the sheriff's or Rockland County or anything like
First
that.
time hearing about horses.
Okay.
We don't have any plans to bring in any.
Well, I just know there was a previous time when we used Rockland, County Rockland. So, we're trying to piece all these puzzle pieces together so that there's a, clearer picture. There's some parts of it, that are with the state police, some parts of it that are with the sheriff's office, and they're also calling in state police from other counties, I've heard.
State police are bringing in we're about a third of their traffic plan,
Okay.
our manpower, so,
And that's
I don't know how
outside
far
of
they're
the-
bringing them, Albany, probably Poughkeepsie, they got the same issues we have with it's a Memorial Day weekend,
Okay.
so. And our numbers and our plan is really what they've asked us for, the state police.
Okay.
Little differentiation between Mystery Land and this promoter for our Bethel Woods. Bethel Woods is just the location. The
Okay.
Mystery Land promoter, they're coming with a huge security force, private security force that is going to deal with their camping and everything that goes on within the events. I think Bethel Woods supplements that with their people, but it's a lot of it's going to be a lot of traffic. We're not sure, that's 25,000 people, we've never had that in any concert that Bethel Woods ever had.
That's over 4 days, so they're coming and going each day, right? Not everybody's coming in at the same time. Not everyone's leaving at the same time. There's
Some of these people that are coming here to camp, they're gonna be here for the duration of the thing, some of them will be here for one day, you're right. I believe everything is pretty much sold. You can't buy tickets at the door, you can't park the car over there. Some of this is, I don't really have the answers, but that's their thing. I think I was just trying to address the influx of people and traffic we're gonna have here in addition to the, that's the annual migration of people coming back here for the season anyway, so.
Okay. That's helpful, thank you, Blake. So at this point now, do you want to, Sam, introduce the discussion item? It's 5 to 10, so I'm gonna stop you at 10 o'clock. Bing.
I gave you, if you want to distribute a draft resolution, you asked me last night.
Oh, this is a different one, okay.
You asked me last night to get a draft resolution together.
Well, it was gonna be a discussion item, but
It is.
I think it's easier when people have something to read.
Yes, so we did that. Lori did that this morning. She's been working on it for a day. Apparently, the state police
Does it
have
say executive?
an agreement with Mystery Land to reimburse for the special costs. They've offered the same thing to the sheriff's department. We were using the state police contract as the model. We don't have all of the details done yet. They're gonna pay for normal time, overtime, cars as well. What this resolution would do, and we didn't put it on your formal calendar because we only got this yesterday. and
It's
it would've
time
been-
sensitive, we
It would have
understand.
been too late, so what we had planned to do is put it on the executive committee next week for passage, but so that you could all see it today, it would be a resolution to authorize the county to enter into a contract with Mystery Land to reimburse the sheriff for all of those costs, and Lori's going to be working on getting that contract finalized.
Kathy?
I mean, that's fine, but Sheriff, do you even have the bodies that they're asking for? I mean, how are you gonna?
We're scrambling. For the weekend, we're gonna use our recruits out of the academy. They'll have firearms training. They'll have to double up with somebody. Excuse me. We're using civil. We're taking, we get a sign-up sheet for people from the jail.
Oh, good,
A
okay.
lot of those things, they can function, they're peace officers. So we'll be drawing on everybody in the whole agency to try to get this done. Because in addition to the concert, it's Memorial Day weekend.
Right.
Everything else is not stopping.
So
because-
if you guys work overtime, they're gonna pay for the overtime fees, correct?
We've
Okay.
been working closely with Josh and Ken, the attorney, to make sure the state police agreement is manpower, overtime,
Okay.
vehicles, so that we should come out of this, if it's set up right, with no cost really to the county. We should be reimbursed for whatever we lay out.
Mike, also, when we had met in the parking lot, Blake had given me a call with regards to the grant funding for the 4 ATV vehicles. The 4-seater vehicles?
It's 2 4-seaters, not 4.
2 4-seaters.
Yes.
I stand corrected. So when I
You
spoke,
threw me when you said 4 vehicles.
2 4-seaters?
Yes.
Okay. That's a grant-funded thing. We had turned it down last year. This year, I called the code enforcement officer for Bethel, and I also spoke to Rick Martinez. Because we don't have space in the emergency operations center for those vehicles, Rick had said that they have an equipment barn, a maintenance barn, over at Bethel Woods, where the vehicles can be stored.
Right, I'm not sure we'll put them over there. I've talked to Dick and John at the training center,
Okay.
and I plan on storing those in the training center. We will move some other things around that aren't enclosed trailers, that don't have to be in a heated building, and we'll juggle things around, so there will be room for those over there. We'll take some things out and we'll prioritize, because those aren't just for Bethel Woods, those are for our response team mainly. That if we have to move people, clandestine lab, anything, we got, any kind of thing where we gotta get back in the woods, this enables us to move people quickly in an off-road situation, 8 people, in full gear, to where we have to go. So I don't wanna have to contact Bethel Woods to get our equipment. So, it'll be handy maybe if we've got some concerts like for this, to store them there, where we don't have to take them back and forth. But we'll be there 24 hours a day anyway. But we will look to put these in the training center.
It's not the new grant.
Okay, so, as long as everybody knows what everybody else is doing
I
and there's
talked
an
to Dick,
agreement.
We're gonna re-juggle everything. Like I said, we've got some other things in enclosed trailers, we've got some things that are
Okay.
winterized and we don't respond with. So we want in the winter that if we need equipment, we can go get it.
I have a question, unless you're not done, when you're done.
Go ahead, Chief.
Getting back to the manpower issue, how many people do we have in the academy right now?
Sorry.
3.
All right. Are we expecting any more?
About following you.
I thought we authorized more than 3.
There was 2 in the,
Oh, no,
in the
I
adopted
can-
budget, and then there was 3 SRO, so it was a total of 5.
Yeah.
3 SRO kind of designated, I mean, they won't necessarily be the ones in the school,
Okay.
but 3 SRO positions and 2 that were in the adopted budget.
Right. 2 of those we were laterals. They don't have to go to the academy, so they're already in the mix.
Okay.
So they're already here on the ground. And until the schools start, we won't be putting those 3 bodies in. So we have the 2 that lateraled in, and we got 3 in the academy that we're gonna try to use for the
Okay.
weekend to at least help out a little bit with boots on the ground.
And the CO situation, are we at full complement?
Not yet. We're doing some backgrounds. We lost a few more, I believe, and
Yeah, we're creeping backwards, we've had some retirements,
Okay.
which, led to deputies being, regular CO being promoted, so now we gotta start the backfill process again.
There is a list, though. Didn't they
Correct.
just give an exam recently?
Yep. I still have an old list, and they got new
The new?
exams, so
Okay.
we should be able to follow through pretty seamlessly.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gene. So I'm walking in a resolution, and I just handed it out. It's whereas the town of Liberty holds a summer camp for 110 people with registration on a first-come, first-served basis and does not reserve spaces in advance. Whereas there are children who are residents of the town of Liberty and are eligible to receive public funds to attend the camp. Whereas the town of Liberty is requesting an MOA between the town and County of Sullivan to ensure timely payment of registration fees not to exceed 1 year from the time of accepting the vouchers, and a no refund policy if the children do not attend. Whereas the town day camp registration period closes on or before June 13th, therefore be it resolved that the Sullivan County Legislature hereby authorize the county manager into a memorandum of agreement to ensure timely reimbursement within 1 year of the voucher being submitted, a no refund policy if children do not attend, and compliance with the Town of Liberty registration policy for Town of Liberty children, residents of Liberty, and therefore be it further resolved, said contract to be in such form as the county attorney shall approve.
Can I move this for discussion, Corey? You
Yes,
want to-
let's move.
Okay. Moved by Kathy,
Second, Cindy.
Can I ask a question?
We're having a discussion, yeah? Go ahead.
Okay. I'm curious if this is anything to do with the youth bureau and how
No.
come it's not going through that?
It's not going through that. The town of Liberty has a day camp. All the towns in the county that have day camps don't have memorandums of understanding between the town and DFS. However, the town of Liberty was upset that vouchers took over a year to pay. so they stopped taking Liberty children. We're trying to reinstitute this, and it does not go through the Youth Bureau. None of the day camps go through the Youth Bureau. Cindy?
For it's, therefore be it resolved, the timely reimbursement within 1 year of the voucher, is that what Liberty was comfortable with?
Brian Field, he's the Parks and Rec.
But if it was taking a year to be reimbursed? and
It was
the
taking
resolution-
more than a year. They want to be within their financial year, close their books, and be done with
Okay,
it.
so it was taking over a year.
But he's
for the
willing
voucher.
to take, yes.
Okay,
Well,
so
and
But
he
they
had
don't
to
want to
wait
do
for
it
a
without
year.
an MO.
Did he bring, I'm sorry, did he bring this to your attention?
It was a resident of Liberty who brought it to my attention and Charlie's attention that there was a bureaucratic triangle there and everything was getting caught. So we're trying to move things along.
So do any of the other townships have an issue with it? Obviously not. I mean, why would just Liberty have?
Why
you
would
heard?
Liberty have an issue with the town, with the county not paying?
No, but I'm saying,
on
but
time?
this has never come to our attention. I wish Angela was here. Does anybody know why? I know, okay.
Well, we can call her in. Sorry, what was
No,
your question,
I'll ask her
Jonathan?
later.
Just why does it take a year?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, and why,
In a very, very long email chain, Angela said it's not the fault of audit.
okay, so Josh just wanted to say something.
Well,
Josh?
These are kids that are, and
Eligible
families
for
that are
public
receiving for
funds.
public assistance, so there's I don't know the exact reason, but there's probably some sort of approval, they were either not eligible or it took a period of time to qualify them is, well, probably where the hold-up occurred. They probably had to get approved through whatever program they were in, whether they were foster kids or whatever eligibility criteria they had. So there was probably, it wouldn't just be like a voucher to us and then to audit. We probably had to get our
state.
federal
that's
approvals
why it
through
took
the
a year.
process,
Okay.
which takes some time sometimes.
And so DSS now is communicating with the town and Parks and Rec, from what I understand, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
What everybody's saying is an MOA or an MOU is not necessary. But in order to repair a broken relationship, we're giving this added assurance.
Can we give this assurance?
That we can pay within a year?
Well, what if?
It's
I mean, I happen to-
485 kids
I
per.
happen to, would think, I mean, without DFS here, we're not gonna know, but maybe it's not, we don't wanna pay, maybe it's the parents aren't submitting the right paperwork, and if we're gonna commit to 1 year, are we committing on behalf of someone that we can't control?
No.
If it's within our control and we're just not paying the bill, then that's ridiculous, but if there's another piece to this puzzle,
The
I'd
piece
be
to this
concerned we're
puzzle
committing
is-
to something we can't live up to.
It's $485 per child.
Whoa.
Town of Liberty has already opened up registration to anyone, to all comers, right? So you don't have to be a Town of Liberty resident. The foster care program and the daycare programs do reimburse. And what I've noticed is that the smaller the amounts of money, the bigger the argument. But I, as a town, as a Liberty district representative, do not want to see children who are entitled to go to day camp to miss out because it's in the Bermuda bureaucratic triangle.
How many kids, Cora, did you say they have,
I,
roughly?
last I heard it was 10, so that's about $4,000. $4,800. Kidding.
I think it's great to take care of the kids. I'm just curious, and we're gonna have it from Mamakating, Thompson, every other township?
I don't-
Yes,
I
they
mean,
do
it's
have
So-
camps in every other
Well,
township.
that's why I'm asking the question.
But obviously, they don't have mimicking other townships don't have a concern, otherwise they would have called one of us, I would hope.
What's a
It's
Liberty
Liberty's-
Parks and Rec or Liberty policy? That's their, I mean, I know
That's
some
their
towns may have restrictions that they may have limited space and no, they couldn't offer it up to
Right.
I
residents
know
beyond
that
their town.
The Parks and Rec
borders.
Director, Brian, and Donna Willie from the Children's, what is it called, the Sullivan County Daycare Council, have been working on 8 weeks to get an MOU passed. We're trying to get the kids registered before the camp fills up.
So that they don't miss out on it. I get it, but like I said, I'm just wondering where the other townships are, but whatever.
If you wanna
Fine.
call up your township and find out what they do,
They haven't
I'm
called
happy
me, I'm
with
not
that.
calling them. I got enough issues.
Scott and then Cindy.
In one of the emails, an email from Christine, it says something about 40 kids will
That's-
not be able to go. Is it 40 or is it 10?
I
Do you
don't know the number.
Okay.
I'm only telling you the number that I know. I'm telling you that there's 110 kids, and as of the day before yesterday, there were 70 open spaces. Right? So when the camp fills up,
This is your email chain, so I.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you what I know, that may or may not be in the email chain. 110 kids, 70 spaces are open. Cindy?
I just wanted to ask, is there any problem with entering a memorandum going forward? Right, it's a formal, you're making a formal agreement. I don't have a problem with it.
There's no problem with it, you're
Right.
maybe setting a precedent for other situations. Normally, we don't do a memorandum when we're dealing with a constituent town and the payments are gonna come through DFS, they're gonna come in their ordinary course. The town of Liberty didn't like the payment process.
So I have no problem with
I think,
supporting it.
I think that
Scott
this is a
has-
good idea, because I hate to see any of these kids disenfranchised.
It's cool, Bo.
I would, going back to Jonathan's comment, perhaps we can amend this to say that anything within the county's purview, stopping, we won't let anything stop it within our purview, but if something on the outside gets involved, then we don't have control over that. Do you see what I'm saying? So,
This
that we'll do-
resolution is open for amendments.
Okay.
It will go to the executive committee, but the executive committee doesn't happen until next week. Meanwhile, registration continues.
Okay, so we'll
Can
amend
you
this
call the vote then?
before executive.
Okay.
Can we amend it?
Right.
Okay.
So I'm gonna
fine
call
with
the
that.
vote,
Yeah.
all in favor?
Fine with that.
You're on this committee,
The
Cindy?
resolution as written? As written?
Well, what are we voting on?
We're
We're voting on
voting,
the resolution to go
we're
to.
not voting on an executive committee resolution, we're voting on a public safety resolution.
Are you, let me just ask a question. so I
5-zip then, it
understand.
went through 5-zip?
I'm not
So I
sure what we were
understand.
doing.
No, I think we.
Cindy and I both have a question. Are you voting as it's written, or are you voting as it's going to be amended before the full board?
Right.
The amendment to be what the
It may be amended after tomorrow's meeting with
We can-
Charlie
we can amend
Barbuti
it
and
at
the
the-
Parks
at
and Rec
the,
Director.
So it would be
Yeah.
amended
Well-
at the full board.
So it would be amended at the full board.
Yeah, it's just.
It's fine.
whatever your pleasure.
It's fine.
I do not want to arrive at June 13th and find out that children who were eligible to register for the camp were shut out.
No, I don't think that's the point.
Well, we can amend it to
Are
full
we-
board. You had to vote
You
5-zip,
got the- you got
so
5-zip.
let's move on.
Okay, so that already happened.
Right, 5-zip.
The other handout, did you want?
We voted on this, 5 people voted to pass this resolution
Yes,
as
that's
written.
correct.
Well, then
That's
we're gonna
correct.
amend it at full board.
Yeah, it's up to you.
Not executive.
Exactly.
Right, full
Full
board.
board,
It'll
yeah.
go to full board, not executive. I just wanted to.
Must be amended.
But we're not gonna stop all the gears from going.
No,
Okay.
it's just, this is going forward, it's been voted, yes, now it will go to full board and be amended. And I would suggest that somebody take a look at the first 2 sentences, it sort of doesn't make any sense, so maybe that can be
It
cleaned
takes
up.
them a year, we can't.
If you wanna make suggestions.
No, it just says that the Sullivan County Legislature hereby authorized the county manager to into and memorandum of agreement.
Amend it to
So
full board.
if it could just be cleaned up and made more clearer, that would be part of that amendment.
I understood what he said with that.
So let's move through the other resolutions, it's now 10:10.
The other handout, Cora, did you?
One executive.
Oh, okay. Yep, okay.
Okay, to authorize the county manager to apply and accept a Homeland Security grant from New York State Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Services. Motion for
Move it.
discussion,
Kathy.
second.
Jonathan.
Any questions? Cindy?
So this is, it says the county share, 34, and the state, so it's half,
This is the
And
same
that's
grant
providing
we
for-
pass every year
for
for
the commissioner's salary.
Dixon.
nothing new.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, all in favor?
5-zip.
Second one, oh, I'm sorry, I jumped to number 2. Let's skip back to number 1. Accept fiscal year 2014.
Move it. Second.
Which one?
There's 3 resolutions. Okay, second? First and
Jonathan.
second? Any discussion? All in favor?
5-zip.
You have a question, Alan?
Did we vote on the second
On the first one?
one?
We just
I
voted
believe-
on the
Yes.
first one, now we
Yeah,
voted, now we just voted on the
Didn't you hear her
second
yell
one.
5-zip? She's done.
Okay, all right.
Do you have any
We
questions?
didn't hear it, Don.
I'm surprised.
No, it's good.
I'm on number 3, to authorize the county manager to enter into an intermunicipal agreement with the county of Rockland to accept the county of Sullivan portion of a hazmat grant award from the New York State of Homeland Security. The town of Rockland is the lead agency on this grant.
County.
I'm sorry, the county of Rutland, along with 5 other counties.
Move it.
Discussion,
Kathy.
Jonathan?
Jonathan.
Any questions? All in favor? Any
Okay.
opposed? And this meeting is adjourned. Oh, no,
No,
public
public comment.
comment. How could we do this without Ken? I'm sure you have a few notes.
No, okay. No public comment?
You're doing well.
Well, he's not the only public
Okay.
here, there's other
No,
public
no, I
here.
know.
Thanks, everybody.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Kathy?
Second.
It's not on this committee.
Or-
I called you yesterday.